All right, everyone, welcome to the Tonto's Demise Week 9 recap. 9 weeks into the season. Whew. The season's flying by. That much I can say for sure. Unfortunately, we lost some more guys this week. I guess I should have learned, a long time ago that more often than not, your prayers just don't get answered. So, don't blame me. I'm trying. But, all right. Trying to think if there's anything to talk about first. First of all, right out of the gate here, obviously, Brian, your team is trash, top to bottom, up, down, front to back, all around, garbage. Absolute garbage. And since I'm tired of watching you guys over and over be like, I don't understand why he's just ripping on your team every week, I'll tell you now. I'll put this early on in the podcast, in the review, so that maybe somebody will actually see it. It's because early on in the year, so I was looking at people's benches and stuff and making some comments about how a lot of our benches are just there's wastelands. And Brian went on the podcast then, and I felt took my words very much out of context and made it as if I was targeting Disco, and specifically for his bench, and making fun of him, and said this, which was not accurate. So I was going through a lot of people, just talking about several people, several of our rosters, and just how even our benches this year are just there was not much going on. There still isn't much going on, but Disco's at the time was one of those that they're just. You look at the bench, a strong starting lineup, but you're looking at the bench, and he admitted it himself. It wasn't anything pleasant to look at. But it was several teams across the league, not just Disco. So the point was, it was returning the favor to you, Brian, because I felt you took me way out of context, and that I was specifically attacking Disco, made him think that I was doing that, which was not the case. And then I said, so that's the reason why every week this year we are referring to your team as trash and garbage. So, because I felt you took my observations out of context and tried to spin it into I was deliberately targeting Disco, which was not the case. But anyway, so I wanted to mention this real quick. I was thinking about, I forget where it was at, somewhere on Twitter, I think. Somebody was talking about fantasy football in general, and in the past couple of years, how gambling and like FanDuel and DraftKings have gotten much more involved, like NFL has contracts with those things and stuff like that. And so I was thinking about this, and people were complaining. So I kind of looked at the numbers and just out of curiosity. But the point is that the argument that they were trying to claim and make is that so many players, just rando players, score touchdowns, getting touchdowns. Studs aren't getting carries. Studs aren't getting receptions or targets. They're getting taken off the field all the time. Things like that. Not like I think it's been going on for quite a long time. But I can understand it, like they don't have the workhorses like we used to and things like that. But they argue that for fantasy and especially gambling purposes, like people making wagers on yardage totals or touchdowns, scoring touchdowns, things like that. That NFL teams are taking good players out and just throwing and rushing touchdowns to random guys throughout the season. Sorry, sorry about that. My screensaver came on because I wasn't messing around here. Because I'm busy flapping my yap. But anyway, so just out of curiosity, I went through and looked and just wrote. I got a list of like all the names and stuff here. So, and did like a numbers thing. So, touchdowns that were scored this past week, by players who were probably or on fantasy people's starting lineups, or like people would probably be betting on, and the total came out to 33, including not including. There was also 7 quarterbacks who rushed for touchdowns this week. So, I think 33. Some of these names could be on the and then I made a list of just rando players who scored touchdowns. A couple of these guys who are in the regular touchdown list could probably be in the rando list. It's kind of a little subjective there. But then I also went through and looked at all of our starting lineups, all 12 teams in Tonto's Demise. All the players that we had in our starting lineups. You know how many of those guys did not score touchdowns this week? Not counting quarterbacks, and obviously kickers, our running backs, our wide receivers, and our tight ends. People who did not score touchdowns this week, 56. So that's like what's 12 times 7, 84. So approximately 56 out of 84 players in our starting lineups did not score touchdowns this week. So just to go through real quick, like the guys who did score touchdowns this week, who were most likely more known guys in fantasy lineups, or guys that people were probably gambling on. So real quick, Jalen Warren, Freiermuth, he's iffy. Harrison, Jr., McBride, Torrey Horton, Kareem Hunt, Kincaid, Rashee Rice, Bowers, Genty, Devontae Adams, Puka, Kyron, T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Juwan Johnson, Loveland, Laporta, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, Monty, Jameson Williams, Rico Dowdle, Josh Jacobs, Quentin Johnston, Drake London, Diggs, CMC, Juwan Jennings, Cortland Sutton, R.J. Harvey, Mark Andrews, and Rashad Bateman. But yeah, that's 33. Then quarterbacks who scored rushing touchdowns this week: Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams had a receiving touchdown. J.J. McCarthy had a rushing touchdown. Herbert had a rushing touchdown. Jackson Dart. So yeah, there was 7 quarterbacks. And then rando guys who did score touchdowns. I said there was 21. People like, and this is including some of the guys from the regular side. But guys who did score touchdowns this week include Josh Downs, Ryan Flournoy, Elijah Arroyo, Cody White, A.J. Barner, Chris Rodriguez, Ty Johnson, Tootin, Tyler Higbee, Zacchaeus, Britton Brown, I don't even know who that is, Noah Fant, Yoshivas, Scott Matlock, again, who the fuck is Scott Matlock? Dyke, Demario Douglas, Terrell Jennings, Connor Olszewski, Theo Johnson, Bang Bang scored a touchdown, Charlie Kohler, who are these people? Like, those are all guys who scored touchdowns this week. So of all the touchdowns that were scored, that's 54? So 21 of them, so that's about 35 to 40%, somewhere in that ballpark, I'm guessing. Just doing quick math. Just randos scoring touchdowns. So it's like, I can see the point they're kind of making, but I'm not really sure if I go for it. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Maybe talk about it a little bit in the lineup. But does it seem like that's something that has increased since like 2020, and like gambling has really taken over um, a lot of things, advertising, NFL contracts, things like that. But again, like I said, 21 of those guys, like you were never, like who were, some of those people are names I've never even heard of before. But yeah, like I said, 56 players. We had 56 players in Tonto's Demise starting lineups who did not score touchdowns this week, and how many of those could have gone to some of those, some of the, how many of those 21 could have gone to some of the people in our starting lineups? Something interesting to think about. I mean, if that's really become a big thing, or like it's always kind of been a thing, just maybe it's more amplified now because of sports betting and stuff like that. So yeah, just something that I was thinking about for you guys if you're curious to ponder and debate on the lineup if you'd like. Also, one quick last thing. Yesterday, I was talking to Detling about this real quick. I went to see the movie Begonia, the new Emma Stone, and I forget the guy's name, movie. Anyway, this is the same director who did the movie Poor Things with Emma Stone a couple years ago. If you haven't seen that movie, do yourself a favor. But Begonia, which is out just this past weekend, I'm still thinking about it. Go if you get an opportunity and you like weird, go see this movie. Oh, it's just fantastic. And I can't even really talk about it because it would spoil some stuff. Maybe it's better to just go into if you're gonna see this movie, go into it not knowing anything. And I just like it was one of those movies where when it ended, I was just like taking a deep breath. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in real quick. All right, so let's get. Holy crap, we're 12 minutes in. Let's get right down to real business that you guys actually care about. Week 9 in Tonto's Demise. Yeah. Well, first we'll talk about. We had a couple matchups that came down to Monday night. Nothing that ended up being super close, unfortunately. But we'll get to that. Really, nothing in general that was super close like we've had before. For the most part, wasn't really close on a lot of them. But anyway, yeah. As you know, I don't prepare mentally really for any of this going in until I sit down in the chair and start talking. All right, first off, we've got Possum Magic, the defending champ who we always talk about first every single year, no matter who it is. He was going up against Darkwing Jet, trying to turn things around here. And unfortunately for the defending champ, Possum Magic, he goes down in defeat to Darkwing Jet, 177.45 to 165.4. Justin was trailing going into Monday night. I believe Possum Magic was finished. And Justin had C.D. Lamb and Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's see, those two combined for about 38 points. And Justin won by 12. So he needed about 26 points from those two guys, and he was able to get it fairly easily. Marvin Harrison Jr. did almost all the work by himself here. All right, what do we got? We got Stafford going for 54. Tet goes for 8.5. CD went for 15.5. Harrison, 22.5. Jalen Warren, 17. Kyron goes for 20.5. Gadsden goes for 12. Boot in the flex gets hurt, puts up a 0. Fortunately, Justin breathed a sigh of relief there. That did not hurt you. Cardi, your Rams kicker. Since all your Tampa Bay Buccaneers won by this week, he got you 2 points because he missed his only field goal and he missed a PAT. Then your Vikings defense at Detroit, kind of surprised by this outcome. They actually did win the game. Yahoo says 14. Justin, looked like you got an extra 12. So 26 from the Minnesota Vikings defense. Said a little bit more than I thought that they would do. I thought that they didn't even think they would win that game. But they did. And it was enough to get you past the defending champ. Again, Boston Magic this week. All right, he's got his Baltimore Ravens. The power of purple is coming back this week. Not quite enough power. The battery needs charged a little bit more. There, Boston Magic. What do we got? Lamar went for 45.5. The Olive gets 8.5. Diggs gets a touchdown. He gets 13. Dyke, only one catch, but he scored a kick return touchdown. He actually got you a bink. So he actually ended up with 10.5 points, mostly all coming from his kick return touchdown. Jonathan Taylor gets bottled up by the Steelers defense, only 7.5. Derrick Henry, 16. A.J. Barner, random plug-and-play, scores a touchdown this week. He gets you 11.5 points. And then Monangai, the Bears running back, in for the injured DeAndre Swift, goes for 176 yards, gets you almost 26 points. Pinheiro goes for about 13, and then your Jacksonville Jaguars defense gets saved at the end, gets you +3 for the victory because the Raiders went for 2 and didn't get it. Let's see. Yahoo says 5. Looks like, let's see, you got the bink. So 9, another 9 points to 14 for your defense. But yeah, just not quite enough there. Too many single-digit scores here. Said even though Justin did have that 0, you outscored him in the flex 26-0. Yeah, just his big guns came through when he needed them most. Said Harrison and CeeDee Lamb putting up 38 points and giving him that 12-point victory. All right, so with the victory, Darkwing Jet, he is 6-3. He is in second place. While Possum Magic, the defending champ, he drops to 3-6, and he is all the way down in 11th place. Quite the deep hole you're digging there, Possum Magic. That back-to-back champion pot. It's going to be a struggle for you going forward, just to make the playoffs here with only 5 games left. All right, like I said, everything. They said the matchups that did come down to Monday night ended up not being too close. Well, we'll just go through the one. Go to the one that was kind of close. It was pretty much even going into this one for the Dub C Hooligans and from Gags to Riches. And both of you guys, I think there was did Kevin maybe have a 1-point lead or something like that? It was basically Javonte Williams and Bam Knight versus George Pickens and Michael Wilson. And Pickens and Wilson, they combined to score about 23 points to the 13 or 14 that Williams and Knight combined for. And yeah, that's where you got about your 10-point difference there. Gags to Riches gets the victory, 137.35 to 127.2. So unfortunately for Gags here, he lost Jaden Daniels again with that dislocated elbow that they showed way too many times. He gets I don't know. I think it's safe to conclude that he's probably done for the rest of the year, depending on the severity of that injury. But again, like we said, we talked about it a little bit on the lineup. On the bright side of that, losing him, it wasn't one of his knees, it wasn't his throwing elbow, it was his non-throwing elbow. So, I think a lot of people really like Jaden Daniels. He's a good competitor. He's fun to watch. So on the bright side of all of this, at least it's not a injury that's going to linger with him for a long time or hopefully really affect his performance. Unlikely in the long term. So that's good. Good for him. Hopefully wish him a speedy recovery. But will he be back this year? TBD. I don't know. But yeah, Gags has been without him quite a bit already this year, and it looks like that's going to continue for most of the rest of the season. He did get 32 points. Pickens got 14. Michael Wilson got 9. Bourne got 5.5. Chase Brown 19. Kareem Hunt 12.5. Kelsey also 12.5. Kyle Pitts in the flex goes for 8. Jason Myers, the Seattle kicker, goes for about 9.5. And then your New England Patriots defense just squeaked out a victory. Yahoo says 4. Gags looks like, I think, the only bink this week was Dyke from Tennessee. So Gags looks like you got an extra 12 to 16 points from your defense, and it was enough to get past the Dub C Hooligans this week, who had Daniel Jones, despite Daniel Jones going for 48.5 points. And Devontae Adams catching 2 touchdowns, getting 23. The rest of your lineup is almost all single digits, Kevin, and that's just not going to get it done more often than not. Shaheed, who is now a Seattle Seahawk, he goes for 12 points. Xavier Worthy goes for 6. Javonte 7. Van Knight 6.5. Tucker Kraft, another guy who we lost this week with a torn ACL. He gets only 4 points before going out. Pat Bryant in the flex. A lot of bye week blues for Kevin this week. Only 4 points from him. Dicker the kicker goes for about 11. And then you have the New York Giants defense against San Francisco. Yahoo says 5. Kevin, I think that was the correct score for your defense. 5. So yeah, I don't know if there was a better defense you could have picked up, or if you had the Giants for a while. I know that all your Eagles were on bye. But yeah, that was basically the difference in this matchup. You're, like I said, other than obviously a lot of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in the meat of your lineup scoring single digits. It was basically a 10-point difference there between your defenses. 11 points, and that's basically what this matchup was decided by. But yeah, both of you unfortunately took hits this week, with Gags losing James Daniels and Kevin losing Tucker Kraft. After he traded away 2 Gags, Kelsey, who was on your opponent's team there. Anyway, all right, what do we got? Gags, he's 5-4 despite these rough, despite the rough and tumble season that Gags has been having so far. He's now 5-4 and he is in 6th place. If the playoffs started today, Gags would be in. WC Hooligans drops to 4-5. He is now in 8th place. All right, now we'll just go straight down my matchup line here. We got the Wizard of Winburg going up against first place Ed Logger. It was 11th place versus first place, and David takes down Goliath this year. A huge monkey off of my back. Ed Logger, as you probably, most of you probably know, Ed Logger defeated the Wizard of Winburg 3 times last year, including eliminating me from the playoffs by 1 touchdown and preventing me from going on to win back-to-back Tonto Bowls, which I would have done easily if I had made it to the Tonto Bowl. But anyway, I'm not still hung up on that, obviously, right? All right. Wizard of Winburg takes down Ed Logger this week, 185.25 to 155.4. All right, so what do we got for the Wizard? 37 from Drake May. Puka goes for 23. DJ Moore comes alive. Cincinnati Bengals defense makes everyone look alive, except Roma Dunze. 24 points from him. Shakir goes for 11. Jahmyr Gibbs, only 6 points from him. Travion gets 12.5. Kittle, only 7. ETN in the flex, 16.5. Fairbairn goes for about 17. Then I Played the Rams defense this week over my Broncos since they were at home against a rookie Saints quarterback. Saints are just kind of in shambles this year. Yahoo says 13. Looks like I got an 18-point bump to 31 from my defense. So actually, other than Jamar Gibbs and George Kittle, pretty solid scores up and down the lineup here. And it was enough to get past Ed Lager this week. His Herbert-Keenan connection went for 48 and 6. Zay Flowers, 11.5. Christian Watson, 8. James Cook, 16.5. I survived Rico Dowdle, 2025. He goes for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, 31 points. Tyler Warren, 7.5. Big factor here. Kamara in the flex, lost a fumble, only 0.7. Loop, the Baltimore kicker, nothing but PATs, gets you 4. And then the Houston Texans defense ended up losing there at the end of the game. Yahoo says 16. Looks like you got a 6-point bump to 22. But yeah, decent scores up and down my lineup. Two of my best players were the most underperforming ones this week. So we'll see what happens there. Kind of surprising that I took it easy. I took it easy on you, Ed, by keeping Flacco on the bench. That would have been, and our matchup would not have even been close. That would have actually been an extra, 33 points. Flacco nearly doubled Drake May's output. I would have been well over 200 this week if I had played Flacco, but did not do that. Unfortunately, it didn't cost me. All right, with the victory, Wizard of Wimber moves to 4-5, but still down there in 9th place. Ed Lager, he drops to 6-3, but he goes nowhere. He is still in 1st place. However, as we mentioned on the lineup, by 0.5? What was Disco's score? 0.55. Ed Lager was eliminated from the knockout pool this week. Disco survived, basically thanks to Brandon survives from Brandon. Thanks to Brandon Aubrey kicking a 26-yard field goal. That 0.6 was the difference in this matchup, in the knockout pool matchup, keeping him alive. So yeah, Ed Lager eliminated from the knockout pool this week. These 3 survivors are Detling, Disco, and Jimmy Crick. So good luck to you 3 fighting it out for the rest of the way. Victory will be decided next week. All right, then we had Shawshank Athletics. He was done. He was going up against Tater Tot Titans of Turf. The Tots had Dak and Trey McBride on Monday night, but it was a tall order. You were down pretty good amount of points, like 70 or so. So you ended up getting, 41 and 16, 57, and you still lost by 18, 57, 75-ish. So that's what you were down. That's what you needed from Dak and Trey McBride. Tall task, but they just weren't quite up to it. Shawshank gets the victory, 163.6 to 145.4. All right, so Josh, he survives a Patrick Mahomes dud, 27 points. Waddle, 14. Quentin Johnston, 15. Alec Pierce goes off against the Steelers there. Interesting plug and play. You must have had some bye week problems. Otherwise, not really sure why you're playing. Actually, Josh, he's like one of your best receivers. Yeah, that doesn't look good. No offense. 17.5 points. I mean, can't complain if you'll take that every single week from Alec Pierce. Bijan, 17.5. Kenneth Walker, 8. Kincaid goes for 100 yards and a touchdown, 22 points. Debo in the flex, 9.5. Lutz, your kicker, goes for about 4. And the Baltimore Ravens defense on Thursday night handled the Miami Dolphins pretty easily. Yahoo says 20. Looks like a 9-point bump to 29 there, Josh, for your defense. And it was enough to get past the Tots this week. So Dak went for 41. DK Metcalf only 2.5. Dubs goes for 16. Michael Pittman 20.5. Josh Jacobs 20. I think he's no longer on your team. I think Trey McBride is no longer on your team. Vidal only 3. Trey McBride. So that hurt me too, because just a real quick, I had started Vidal in our other league, the keeper, the dynasty league we've got here. I was playing against this guy who's like got a monster team for every single. He's like in the championship game every single week. A real thorn in the side. I don't think I've ever beaten him, but I said I had Marvin Harrison Jr. I just needed him to get like one more catch last night to knock off this guy, and I got so close, but I didn't do it. And Kimani Vidal only scoring 3 points against the Tennessee Titans. That really burned me as well there, Zach. But anyway, I digress. McBride went for 16.5. Woody Marks, he goes for 2.5. Boswell goes for about 10. And then your Green Bay Packers defense getting upset at home by the Carolina Panthers. Yahoo says 10. Looks like 13 was probably the correct score for your Packers defense. But yeah, so we said it was like an 18-point difference here. Zach, you needed DK to score more than 2. Vincent Vidal more than 3. Basically, I mean, you get 12 points from either. You get like 12 points from those guys, or even Woody Marks. It gets you even just like 8 points from each one of those guys. And this matchup goes the other way. But unfortunately, as we all know, it is what it is. Shawshank gets the victory. He moves up to 5-4. He is in 4th place, while the Tots drop to 3-6, and they actually take over the basement from Hillbillies on PCP. He is in 12th place. All right, so what do we got next? We got the Not So Mighty Whites. It was pretty easy when I was going through making this list of guys who scored touchdowns and guys who didn't. Especially guys who didn't, because basically everyone on Detling's team scored touchdowns right out of the gate this week. This matchup was pretty much decided by 1:45 Sunday afternoon. I think Jim even commented on that in the line app there. This is the Frankenstein's monster you guys have created or helped put together with these trades to Detling's team. You didn't even have Saquon this week. Not So Mighty Whites, 232.75. Is that? I already can't remember from last week. What was the? Is that the highest? Yeah, that was the highest. You took over the highest point total in the league so far this year. Not So Tidy Whiteys with your 232. Let's jump back to the matchup. Biscuits and Porn still a respectable 172.45. Biscuits, you would have beaten several people this week, but unfortunately, you would have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 teams. Biscuits, you would have beaten this week, but unfortunately, you played one of the couple teams that outscored you. So it goes sometimes. All right, Touchdown City. How many touchdowns did? I wonder. Just check. I'm going to go back to the league record book here. I just want to see if it shows how many touchdowns. 12. Detling's team scored 12 touchdowns this week. All right. The single week record, I believe. Single week record 14. So what do we got? All right. For Not So Mighty Whites, not so tidy Whiteys. What do we got? He's going to change that name back here pretty soon, as he's just riding it out. I think Yahoo projects him to win out the rest of the season. What do we got? Jackson Dart. I don't know why you gave him Jackson. I don't even know why why'd you give him Jackson Dart? 53 points this week. Justin Jefferson, 16.5. Rashid, 18.5. Drake London pops off for 3 touchdowns, 39 points. CMC, another 38 points from him. Even Montgomery, you complained. Oh, did you really have Ramondre Stevenson? You complained about having to take him out of your lineup. You plug in David Montgomery. Oh, boo-hoo. 11 points from him, including a touchdown. Sam Laporta goes for 22. Adunze, another boo-hoo, complaining about that on the lineup there. He got 0 in the flex. So imagine in a game where the Bears scored 47 points, Adunze scored 0. So imagine what that could have been. You could have been over 250 this week, probably pretty easily. 250, 260. But yeah, Butker goes for about 7.5. And your Chargers defense, Yahoo says 10. Looks like 20 would be too much. So probably 18 points. 28 for your defense there. Yeah, because there were no Binks except for Dyke. But yeah, well over 200, the highest score of anyone so far this year. So a lot of these guys said early game said Montgomery, Laporta came right out of the gate. London, Rice had a rushing touchdown. Justin Jefferson scored right out of there. So yeah, all your guys came right out and scored touchdowns and pretty much put Biscuits to Porn to sleep, put him to bed, tucked them in nice and early. Bo Nix said all your Denver Broncos. He goes for 38. J.K. Dobbins 7. Evan Engram a 0. Yeah, any other Broncos there? JSN goes for 22. Ladd goes for 9.5. T. Higgins pops off in this matchup, that Bears-Bengals matchup, for 33. Joke they were one of the memes on the lineup, not on the lineup for one of the memes on social media I saw. It was a good one. They said, imagine if I don't think it happens this year, but imagine if the Cowboys and the Bengals played each other. The score would be like 87 to 89. But anyway, that's 33 for T. We said Dobbins went for 7. Janty goes for just under 20. Said Engram is a donut. Wandale goes for 13. Bates, the Detroit kicker, goes for about 6.5. And your Bears defense, despite giving up a ton of yards and a ton of points, Yahoo says 12. Looks like you got an extra 12. Well, I gotta say, yeah, 24 points. Despite not all the yardage that you gave up, you still got some turnovers and some sacks there. And they actually ended up getting the victory, which was just ridiculous. All the Bengals receivers and players were absolutely right to be pissed off at the end of that game. Because I saw a still, again, with the memes on social media, stuff like that, I saw a still of two Bengals hitting Colston Loveland, and another guy coming up and approaching him on the play that he ran in for a 50-yard touchdown. He was being tackled. Two guys were there trying to tackle him, and they couldn't do it. Ridiculous. But anyway, Biscuits and Porn probably thinking the same thing. Just ridiculous. But despite defeats, Biscuits and Porn, both of these guys have the same record. Tidy Whiteys move up to 5-4. Biscuits drops to 5-4, though he is in 5th place, while the Tidy Whiteys move up all the way up to 3rd place. The Tidy Whiteys, who were on the brink of being 1-5 earlier on and giving up on the season, now has zoomed all the way up to 3rd place. And he's got Justin Jefferson, he's got Rashid Rice, he's got Drake London, he's got CMC, he's got Saquon Barkley. Oh, guys. What are we doing? I don't know. Disco already scolded you. Guys, enough on the line app here. All right, then we did Possum. We got one matchup left. It was Hillbillies on PCP. Said sometimes one man's trash is one man's treasure. Brian, this week your trash team turned into a treasure. You shined that turd, going off for 215 points, getting yourself out of the basement and knocking off Disco, the podcaster battle this week. So you get to ride your high horse not just this week but for the rest of the year after punishing Disco this week. Said by 60 points, 215.7 to 155.95. All right, what do we got for Hillbillies? Going over 200 this week. Jared Goff. Not tucked up there against Amon-Ra, but your Goff Amon-Ra stack, 47 and 19. Addison goes for 8.5. Nico, 14.5. RJ Harvey, 16.5. Gainwell, 7.5. But the big one here in his return from injury, Geno Smith throws to no one except Brock Bowers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. 12 catches, 127 yards, 3 touchdowns, 43.3 points. Juwan Johnson gets a touchdown. He goes for 12. Badgley, the Colts kicker, multiple 50-yard field goals. He gets you about 13. And then the Steelers defense, they showed up for you this week. You prayed for it. Your prayer was finally. Thank goodness someone's prayer was finally answered. Must have had something to do with them putting the Steelers defense in a coffin out in the parking lot this week, and they turned things around. They rose, like the Undertaker. They rose up from the dead. Yahoo says 29. They gave up a lot of yards, though, I think, this matchup here, so we didn't really bump you up too much. Looks like 35, I want to say. But yeah, Lauder said 35. Goff had a good game. Bowers went bonkers. Good scores from your buns, and Bowers going off. Only 2 single-digit scores there. Over 200 points this week. It was enough to get past Disco. What T got? Josh Allen goes for 55. Wasted effort there. Unfortunately, Jamar Chase, 17. Jamison Williams, basically 17 also. BTJ, 8.5. Ashan, 16.5. Brashard Smith. So you get some guys on bye this week. 0.7. Mark Andrews decides to. Mark Andrews basically said, I'm going to catch 2 passes this week. They're both going to be touchdowns. He gets 16.5 points. Keon Coleman. Maybe, perhaps this is your problem, Disco. You're not heeding your own advice here. You've got Keon Coleman. So your Josh Allen, Keon Coleman stack. Those guys should be like bunched up right next to each other, cuddled up. But no, you got Keon Coleman all the way down in the flex. You got to put. You can put Jamar Chase in the flex. That's fine. Or you should. You could put anybody down there. But yeah, you don't take. Maybe you should start taking some of your own advice. This one's for Justin Bahoric. Maybe you should try pants. Speaking of taking your own advice. But anyway, said Brandon, a kicker named Brandon, saves you, though, on Monday night. Keeps you alive in the knockout pool with his 3.6. You needed 3.1. I think you got 3.6. And the Atlanta Falcons defense, Yahoo says 15. Looks like you got an extra 3. Yeah, to 18. But yeah, basically, Hillbillies on PCP just went off this week. Blew his load, which I'm very excited about. That Brock Bowers, he blew his load all over Disco this week because I get Hillbillies on PCP next week. And it's very unlikely that Brock Bowers is going to blow his load twice in a row. Denver Broncos defense at home, they're not going to let Brock Bowers score 45 points on them. At least I hope not. So, yeah. That's a bit of a relief for me. But sorry, Disco, that you had to take it hard from Brock Bowers this week. And Brian. It's going to make for some awkward podcasting. But anyway, all right. Both teams are now 4-5. Disco dropping to 4-5, though he's in 7th place. Hillbilly's moving up to 4-5, climbing out of the basement, and currently in 10th place. So yeah, those were all the matchups. Said we lost Jaden Daniels, we lost Tucker Kraft this week. I don't think there's anybody else. But yeah, unfortunately, said Kevin left himself in a tough spot, trading away Travis Kelce, leaving himself. I think Tucker Kraft was the only tight end you had on your entire roster. So yeah, leaving yourself in a vulnerable position, and it came back to bite you this week. Gags, he has one trade left, I think. So he lost Jaden Daniels. I don't think there was Yahoo has a report on the severity of his injury yet, but you've got Aaron Rodgers. You got Scary Terry in your lineup. But I like I said before, when you made that trade for Scary Terry, his injury, like I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see. Just looking at Jaden Daniels' Yahoo report here. They should know by Wednesday or Thursday. Elbow. Still in the process of collecting information. Out for a while for sure. No fractures, so that's good. Possible like ligament tears in your elbow. So, yeah, Gags. He's got Aaron Rodgers. Gags. Bad time for the bye week Blues too. You got a lot of guys on bye this week. You've only got, as we know, everybody knows, you've only got one trade left. So you've got Aaron Rodgers. You have Kareem Hunt. Still, you're gonna, yeah, boy, Gags, man. So you still have Kareem Hunt in your lineup, but you don't have another running back to put in currently to replace him. You got DeAndre Swift. Who knows if he's going to play this week because he didn't play last week. Scary Terry, you don't know. Gags, buddy. Yikes. Yeah, you get and you get Detling this week. Gags. Sorry, buddy. I know you're in the play. You're 5. Man, this is rough. I'm sorry. I feel bad. I feel bad just looking at this for you. Anyway. Oh, what else do we got? We had some trades today. Ed and the Tots. I don't think there was any chirping on the lineup though. The number 1 team trading with the number 12 team. I know a lot of you guys seem to like to bitch about that kind of stuff, but I didn't see it. Said no chirping about that. No, I don't really. Ed acquiring Trey McBride and Josh Jacobs. Titans of Turf, the Tots. Zach acquiring Matthew Golden, who is hurt. Tyler Warren, basically McBride for Warren. That's fair. Golden and Kamara though for Josh Jacobs. I don't know. Kamara hasn't really done much. New Orleans is pretty much giving up on the season. Much rather have McBride and Jacobs than Warren, Kamara, and Golden. And then Kevin trading for a tight end. He gets Otten from Darkwing Jet for Xavier Worthy. Justin stacking more wide receivers there in his lineup. So yeah, Kevin needed a tight end because he's got nobody. So what do we got in the standings? So again, we've got nice symmetry. We've got 2 6 and 3s, 2 3 and 6s, and then 8 teams in the middle, 4 5 and 4s, 4 4 and 5s. So yeah, it's a wide open race. 9 weeks in, the most wins anybody has is 6. That's not too common, so that's making things fun. It's just we got a real big jumble here. Only 5 weeks left in the season, so it's going to be a dogfight for those playoff spots. I said not so mighty Whites. 4 weeks in a row, he's got to win. What do we got here? Probably going to be 5 weeks in a row, if we're being honest, because unfortunately he gets Gags this week. Unfortunately for Gags. What do we got? Ed, first place. What's he got? He's got Shawshank, 4th place team. We've got Possum trying to climb back in it. He gets Disco this week. Good matchup. Darkwing Jut said 2nd place versus 5th. Darkwing and Biscuits and Porn. That should be a good matchup. Titans of Turf basically trying to keep his season alive, going up against Dub C Hooligans, trying to climb back to 500 and not drop down any further. And then said I get Hillbillies on PCP this week. Should be a good matchup. So hoping my Denver Broncos shut down your Vegas Raiders. Wanted to say Oakland Raiders, LA Raiders, whatever. So yeah, Thursday night. I like that it's Thursday night because the Thursday night games tend to be pretty crappy offensive wise. So fingers crossed there for me. But yeah, we got some good matchups. So good for. So we'll see what happens here with the standings. Me and Brian both trying to climb our way back up and make a run at it here. So that's an important matchup. Whoever wins that is going to be back to 500, and it's still in the race. So Dub C and Tots. So Tots are in 12th place. He loses his matchup. He is going to be hurting the rest of the way. And Dub C probably can't afford it. He needs to get back to 500. Biscuits can't afford to drop to 500. Puts him in a tough spot here. Justin looking for win number 7. Still in pretty good position there. Probably can afford to lose this one, but you never want to. Every win is important. Said Possum and Disco, 2 teams reeling right now, trying to get back and onto the winning track here. Possum needs this one desperately to try and climb back and even just to get a chance to defend his title. He needs to get a victory here and not dig his hole any deeper. Ed versus Josh. So Josh is 4th, you're 1st. That should be a good matchup. And then said Detling versus Gag. So yeah, we could easily end up with a lot of 5-5 teams after this week. So just jumble things up, make it a nice, exciting race here in the last 4 weeks of the season. We'll see what happens. Going to be fun. We got some buys. What do we got on buys this week? The Bengals, the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Chiefs. So other than Tennessee, we got a lot of people are missing some important players this week. So yeah, it could be one big cluttered mess of 5-5s after this week. Hopefully I'm one of them. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that pretty much sums up Week 9. Sorry for wasting the first 15 minutes of the review here. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting argument that people were making. I don't really know that I feel it's that valid. I feel like the stuff that they've been talking about has been going on for a long time anyway. Maybe it's just more of a spotlight on it now with all the gambling and stuff. But anyway, all right, it's November already. We've got to start thinking about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day, just a reminder, Thanksgiving Day is the trade deadline. So yeah, when you wake up Thanksgiving morning, even though I can't set that exact date on Yahoo, I think it's like the day, a couple days after that weekend, Saturday or Sunday. But we don't go exactly by what Yahoo says. So remember, guys, Thanksgiving Day, midnight, the night before Thanksgiving, when everyone's out, when you're all out at the bars getting drunk, and it's 11:59. Remember, you've got 60 seconds to make a trade, or else that's it. I think you guys wanted. I'm glad that we didn't push it back any further. I think you guys wanted, and I think I mistakenly said that at the draft that it was Halloween, but that's way. I mean, I imagine a lot of you guys would agree that if the trade deadline had ended a week ago, like 5 days ago, that's way too early for the trade deadline to be. So yeah, I wanted to make it something that everyone can remember easily, and then I went and forgot about it. But yeah, it's Thanksgiving. The trade deadline is always now Thanksgiving Day. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for listening, watching, or whatever it is you do. I'm pretty sure I've been watching the podcast. Nobody watches this much anyway. Maybe Detling's giving me some boosting my views from like 2 to 3. So thank you for that. Appreciate it, Detling. May nobody get hurt this week. No more with this. It's getting tiresome. It said it's just been a bloodbath this year. Just trying to survive. Just said a lot of us just trying to survive and get into the playoffs this year. It's going to be a great final few week run, I think. Point said you got to fight for every single point matters. So make your lineups, make all your decisions carefully. May everyone's teams meet or exceed expectations this week. Nobody gets hurt. Everybody has fun. And we come back here next week to talk about the events of week number 10 already. All right, guys. Again, thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.